southern and eastern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. What officials are calling an inmate disturbance began at the Bell County Jail yesterday afternoon. Today we learned 5 inmates are charged in connection with the incident. WYMT's Hannah Reynolds has the latest.
Around 2 Wednesday afternoon, officials say inmates got upset in their cell.
Officers inside responded, tried to defuse the situation.
But it continued to escalate. Jailer Gary Ferguson took these photos that you see here. The photos will be used as evidence to show the destruction the inmates allegedly caused.
They had, ripped the TV off the wall, tried to tear the telephone off the wall, was flooding the cells, broke safety glass inside the cell.
But Ferguson says he had no luck in quieting the riot on their own. The inmates would not give up.
We had to call in outside help.
Several agencies came, including the Kentucky State Police, and stopped the riot. After several hours of investigation, we are learning today that 5 inmates were charged.
Brad Barnett, Jonathan Widener, Jonathan Maples, Talmadge Posey, and Virgil Brock.
And Ferguson says with everything that happened, he is glad things did not get as ugly as they could have.
I'm very happy to report that, after all the threats that were made, that the incident was, secured and no one was injured. The officers that came on board to help and all of my staff were intact.
All 5 were charged with inciting a riot, criminal mischief, wanton endangerment 1st degree, menacing, and terroristic threatening in the 3rd degree. In Bell County, Hannah Reynolds, WYMT Mountain News.
The inmates allegedly caused several $1,000s worth of damage to the jail. The exact amount is still being assessed.
Well, we've seen those pop-up showers and storms all afternoon, and we're really continuing to see that across the area. Let's go ahead and dive into satellite and radar, where you're seeing those showers and storms popping up really in front of that first line that's really starting to make its way into our areas. So you're seeing lots of showers and storms popping up, and the worst of it, like I said, is just out in front of that area. And these showers and storms are moving into areas that have seen sunshine today, so that's also fueling those storms. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one down into Laurel County. Now, this was severe warned earlier down into Whitley County, moved through Corbin, produced some pea-sized hail there. So if you are in the Laurel County, London area, definitely get inside because this storm does have a history of producing hail. And as we go up to the north, you'll notice just those scattered showers and storms. Like I said, they're popping out in front of that main line and moving into areas that are now seeing sunshine. So they could become severe at times, but definitely gusty winds, heavy rain, and little bit of hail is possible. Now, we are still in that marginal risk for most of us. Slight risk you'll notice to the north and to the west of us. And we'll continue to see showers and storms this evening and even as we head into your Friday. I'll have that full forecast coming up in just a little bit. Steve.
Thank you, Paige. Officials here in Kentucky are working on a plan to implement statewide reforms on school safety. Earlier this year, lawmakers passed legislation with the purpose of making schools safer. This comes after deadly shootings across the nation, including one in Kentucky. Hillary Thornton has the latest.
It is the result of months of bipartisan work inspired by last year's school shooting victims and their families in Marshall County. The School Safety and Resiliency Act, an all-encompassing approach to school safety, addressing things like facility issues, law enforcement approaches, along with much more.
Also, counseling and mental health supports, bullying, and so forth.
Part of the law aiming to harden school buildings as targets, amending a state statute to add some practices and making them all mandatory. The Kentucky School Boards Association taking that aspect up first.
8 things that they need to upgrade in their facilities. Either a practice, a certain procedure, or an upgrade to the hardware of the building.
Schools required to implement these 8 things as soon as possible, but no later than July 1st, 2022. KSBA is sending out a survey this week for schools to assess their needs.
The main entrance of every school needs to have an electronic locking system with an intercom and a camera. Well, we know that many schools already have that, many do not.
During the process of getting this passed initially, neither lawmakers nor the governor are able to give an exact estimate of what it all will cost. However, saying they are committed to finding the money needed. Despite that, those school advocates still worry that districts could get stuck with a bill.
State funding is so critical because in so many places we fear where they need the most work will be the very places where they have the least ability to do any of that and pay for it locally.
Which is why they're asking each district to assess their needs now.
So that we know what to advocate for in terms of state support and funding next session in January.
In Frankfort, Hillary Thornton, WYMT Mountain News.
In Rockcastle County, police busted 2 people for drugs. Brodhead police say they got a tip of a possible drug deal at Castle Village Drive. When officers got there, they found 53-year-old Kelly Schwartz and 29-year-old Andrew Thomas. Police say they found a legend drug, syringe, and suspected meth. Thomas is facing possession charges. Schwartz is facing trafficking charges. Vice President Mike Pence is visiting the Bluegrass tomorrow. Jeff Pendleton, the general manager at Hallway Feeds in Lexington, says Pence will be there in the afternoon. He thinks Governor Bevin will be there as well. We do not yet know if it's going to be a roundtable style event or a campaign fundraiser. And looking ahead to our primary election, Kentucky now has a record number of people registered to vote. That's according to the Secretary of State's office. Officials also say the state saw a net increase of almost 19,000 voters. A total of 3.4 million Kentuckians are registered to vote in the upcoming primary election, and that is just 20 days away on May 21st. An influential man in Knox County died last week. Knox County Judge Executive Mike Mitchell says Don I. Bingham of Barberville was very involved in his community for several years. Some of the work he did included being a deacon at the First Baptist Church in Barberville and serving as Knox County Judge Executive himself from 1977 to 1981. Mitchell says Bingham also served as Democratic chair for many years and often traveled to Frankfort on behalf of the people of Knox County.
He was a colorful character, would be the best way to describe him. It's saddened. He's going to be missed.
Bingham was buried on Sunday in the Binghamtown Cemetery at Flat Lick. People can now return home in part of Knoxville, Tennessee. They were forced to leave them behind following a fire at a recycling plant. Check out this new video of the fire. You can see the trash smoldering and plumes of smoke filling the air. The fire sparked yesterday afternoon. Overnight fire crews were able to gain access to different parts of the fire to make progress on putting it out. They are using 1,000 gallons of water a minute. Several roads are still closed. If you call authorities worried about a child's safety at home, you hope someone checks right away. But in reality, federal data shows the average response time is about 3 days, and even some places it's worse. Here's Lee Zurich of our National Investigative Team and Investigate TV.
A trace of a lost child.
Still smells like him.
Comforts Samora Morell.
It's all we have left of him.
A trace she'll never wash away.
It's kind of a bittersweet ordeal because I can still, like I said, smell him, but then it's like, where is he?
Zayden Lawson was failed by the people supposed to protect him. 3 days before his death, text messages between Zayden's foster mother and boyfriend show he urinated in his pull-up. The foster mother wrote, "I'm sick of him. Did you whoop his?" The boyfriend responded, "Beat the out of them feet." Days later, Zayden Lawson, a 3-year-old boy weighing just 26 pounds, died. Beaten so badly, the blows lacerated his organs.
He was murdered by 2 adults that were supposed to love and care for him.
She says Child Protective Services ignored the signs from the scars of abuse to his shrinking body.
You believe if CPS would have done its job, Zayden would be alive?
Yes, big time.
States across the country have been decimated by cuts.
We aren't giving them our best, so is that failure? In my book, it is.
In Louisiana, federal data from 2017 shows a Child Protective Service workforce of 255. In Kentucky, which has a nearly identical population, the number is 4 times higher, nearly 1,300.
People talk all the time that children are our future. Well, then invest in them like they're our future. Make sure that they're safe.
And the story in Louisiana can be replicated, told in many states.
This nation has decided that we can cut and cut and cut and still take care of children, and it's not true.
For example, federal records show in 5 years, Arizona Child Protective Services lost almost half its staff, and the decrease in staff leads to an increase of workload that has consequences for children in need. In Delaware, children wait on average more than 12 days for a response. Tara Wallace sat on a Kansas state government task force to study the child welfare system. She's seen new caseworkers overwhelmed early on the job.
On their first day was given a caseload of 70 kids. No training, no instruction.
And for kids like Zayden Lawson, the system that promised to protect him failed. A defenseless child gone too soon.
Zayden's foster mother was charged with manslaughter. Her trial is set for September. The foster mother's boyfriend pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, hear how a state trooper's widow is working hard to keep her late husband's memory alive.
And 2 severe thunderstorm warnings have popped up across the area, Lee into Breathitt County, even down moving into Bell County and Knox County. I'll have those details coming up for you guys in just a few short minutes.
It's time for the Knott County Trail Ride. Coming up, hear about how many people they expect and what this means not just for Knott County, but for the entire region.